Thank you. So, Robbie Hamig is working within our institution. So we work together since 25 years. And I will emphasize my speech more on what I'm very interested in is, sorry for my English, it's not the best, but I'm very interested in the question, how is it possible to change, so to have social change within a society? Now I will come up on that. Individual treatment, we know a lot, but the question is also how is it possible to implement something new? So you will see we, in our facility in Switzerland as well, we have a lot of struggle to introduce new ideas. And one thing was that we had a lot of struggle between acceptance-orientated harm reduction. That was in 25 years ago. And now we go into development-orientated harm reduction. This was the question that I was invited for. I will speak 2 minutes about that. So, I'm leading this institution that's name is Contact Netz. I will tell you 3 minutes what we are doing, more or less. Then about harm reduction of Switzerland, history. I will talk a lot about attitudes. It's too loud, how I speak, about attitudes. And about societal learning. This was the issue I already told you. And what to do and how to change. Contact Netz, these are our part of our clients. And this is our safe injection room. I go through very quick because this is not so important. You can see that all on our homepage. You see here we have the methadone therapy center that Robbie told. We have heroin therapy center, controlled delivery since 94, 200 programs in Berne and in other cities. This is what we have in a house of typical drug users couple. So we have needle exchange. We have the question of addicted prostitutes. We have a bus going out in the streets. We are also responsible now for alcohol. So we have a recreational room for alcoholics because the government of Berne, they don't want the alcoholic people in the streets. So we have created this, we got money to get a recreational room for alcoholics. Then we also have a lot of treatment with counseling centers. This is all the county of Berne. We have 6 counseling centers. Then we have working places. I call them social enterprises. We are very near the market. We are making products that we sell. We are working with architects. So there are 100 places. With maybe 8 projects working in that. That's very powerful. The people like to work. So this is housing. We rent apartments and give the people possibility to live in these apartments, and the social worker goes every week once. So the competencies of living build up that they afterwards can stay by their own in these apartments. We have residential therapy out in the fields with farmers, and school project. That means that people don't fall out of schooling, or they can go in again. And all what we have too is that's quite an important political issue. When we started with this in '98, this is nightlife project with drug testing. So this is more or less what we are doing in Contact Netz. And now I come into harm reduction. And my question is, why was it possible in the 80s that we could open a drug safe injection room in Berne, paid by the government? Nobody did it until now within the structures of normal administration and NGO. What happened that it wasn't closed within 24 hours? I can tell you it could have been closed within 24 hours. This was a very, very difficult issue. So this is the big question. I say there are two reasons, the two main reasons, that at this time we were at a dead end with what to do in the drug field. We had these big open drug scenes in the cities of Switzerland, also in Berne, and there was no solution. With treatment, repression, and prevention, we didn't reach more than 5 to 10% of the people. The other were out in the streets. They bothered everybody. They were a big mess in the parks. This is one. The second one is treatment and law enforcement was at the end with their knowledge. The third, there were a lot of overdoses, a lot of dead people, and a lot of HIV/AIDS. So we are all Christians in Switzerland, more or less all Christians. We are more engaged morally. We don't like that. So the people don't like that. So they said we have to do something. People die away, and there is HIV. A big, big frustration of the police and the judicial departments. They just had too much to do, and they said this is, how you say, this is coming again, nothing changes. And this was the main dead end at that time in the drug field. You see this park. This was the park in Berne where the drug scene was. There were about 1,000 people every day there. And toilets within normal toilet parks in Berne. You see, we put a tent, and what came out was a big mess. This was the open drug scene from Berne, and people don't like that. The picture were in the newspapers, were in TV. The second reason, and this is very important. You can have a big problem within society, but if nobody is there who takes responsibility and says, okay, who are encouraged enough and says, okay, we do something against it, and maybe it's not even legal what we are doing, or half legal. So there was a courage NGO, and one of them was Contact Netz. I tell you, I was then starting as a director. That was a very difficult time that the board of Contact Netz said, we leave this safe injection room open. So this was a courageous intervention of Contact Netz, and there were political people who said, that's good what you're doing. Others said, you have to close it in the parliament. There were doctors, medicine people, people from the police, people from the administration. We had a kind of network that said, okay, it's good what we are doing, and there is no other solution. And what we didn't realize so much at that time, especially my social workers in this drug consumption room, we did something that was probably the most important, that it wasn't closed. We relieved the public zone from the users. When it was open, there was no open drug scene anymore, because all the people came to our place. So it was quiet. And my people at that time said, we are not doing that. We push them out again. People has to see how difficult these users work and live. This was very important. I come back on that. And we had a health improvement. We had a social integration that was started quite good. So you see the result, what Robbie said about the 4-pillar with harm reduction within Switzerland is very powerful. We have 80% less number of AIDS-related deaths among intravenous drug users. We have 50% less of deaf people. We have 20% 30% less of opiate-addicted people, and we have decreased criminality of 70%. This is especially also with heroin substitution. And what's very important is visibility of the drug problem in the cities decreased very much, and safety, public safety increased. The people say, okay, now the city is more safe. We can walk where we want. We are not afraid anymore. Even if it's not so difficult to pass by drug users, but people feel individually different. So I come now to, it's okay. I come now to the most difficult part, also as within institutions. As I lived it now 25 years, more than also in Latin America when I was working in slums. It's always the same. The question is, what kind of attitude is common within a population, within an institution? So in Switzerland came up slowly in the 90s, that we have to have, if we want to solve something within the system, we have to have a balanced approach. That means between public health and public order. No ideology, pragmatism. Very important. And I don't know where you are working, but this is a very difficult issue if you start to talk together. Is it good that the police intervenes at this corner or not? The social worker said, you have to make an interview on the radio. You have to say, Kevin, that is no good. This is all attitudes behind. If it has to be clean or not to be clean. So attitudes are very important. And our institution changed 1.5 years ago because of political pressure, financial pressure, and inside the institution, a lot of conflict, new attitudes in harm reduction. We had, until then, we agreed about two main attitudes. One is, we said it's clear what we are doing, health, medical care for people concerned, social integration. Everybody agrees in the institution. Everybody agrees in the political field. This is important. But then, if you say, okay, we are also working for relief of public zones, a lot of people in my institution said, this is not our responsibility. Why should we do that? We are just taking the problem in our institution. This is a new pillar of our harm reduction strategy of Contact Netz. A second one, and this is very important, we said, okay, we were fighting between abstinence orientated and acceptance orientated. Our people said, harm reduction, everywhere it was written, acceptance orientated. But people outside don't understand. You accept that somebody is a drug user, that he stays there. You do nothing. We give you money that you work with them, but you don't. What do? You accept it. So I said, finish with, we fought 18 years. 18 years we were fighting within our institution. And I said, I don't like this anymore. We stop. And then we created a new attitude, Begriff. How do you say Begriff? Term. A new term, and we say acceptance orientated, this rubbish. Abstinence orientated, we don't want anymore. We say development orientated. Everybody can accept that. We want to develop ourselves. And this, I'm coming out also from adult education. And there we say, you have to go there where the people are. Now I'm talking to you. I don't know if I reach you. If I'm enough development orientated. I don't know. I should ask you. Is that okay, like I'm talking? Yeah? I can go on? You're still here? Good. So, more or less, I got it. So, finally, I don't like to talk like that. No. So, the new thing is, we said, we go to development orientation. The new thing is, we make, and this is also a big issue, a political issue. It wasn't. I tell you about the situation, the culture, political situation of Berne and Switzerland. That we make a differentiation between people who still need us, who we like to talk to. They like to talk to a social worker. They like to talk to a doctor. And people who say, I talked enough to a doctor. I talked enough to a social worker. I don't like you anymore. I just would like to stay here and drink a cup of coffee. Why do you talk to me? So we say there are people who don't need us anymore so much. All what they need is to have a place where they can be, okay? And these people are homeless. They are quite a long time within a lot of therapies. And we said, okay, we give them a possible daily structure within our institution, but the younger ones, these who want to change maybe, we motivate to change, to get them out. This is a very important political issue. Tell to somebody who pays 2 million francs to a service where you say, people just stay here, that's okay. So somebody said, oh, well, all what you do, they can stay here, but I don't pay taxes for that people can just stay here and drink. So you have to find a way. And this is also political, very political. We said, okay, some people can stay and other we want to go into treatment to go away. This is another one. And the biggest issue from the new strategy is we abolish anonymity. And 24 years, people could come to our service and they didn't have to tell who they are, why they are here. They just had to be addicted or users. And we sometimes even didn't know if they are users. We had a lot of Ukrainian people, a lot of Azerbaijan people, and in the houses where they were living for to be, they said, go to the safe injection room, and they were there. We couldn't even talk to them. And so this is very questioned in Switzerland, in the harm reduction field. But finally, I can tell you, my people said, we don't do that in the team of the consumption room. But in all other teams of working places, they said, we have to know where he is. It could happen. It could happen that in one morning, a user was in the working place. He said to the social worker, you are a dumb, I don't know what, son of a bitch, I will kill you. Okay? Yeah, and he has a revolver or whatever. So when he does this, he is thrown out. He can't come anymore for maybe 3 months. But he goes and says, I don't care. He goes to the safe injection room and says, I'm here, I'm fine. The same institution gives you the possibility to stay wherever you want, just in one knot. So this was very difficult for, and so we, different reasons, but also abolish anonymity. And what we would like to do, we are not yet there. We would like to have a code of standard, how to be treated as a drug addict in all the institutions in Berne within the public space. That means that the police, the social workers, the hospitals, everybody says, okay, if you behave like that, we don't bother you. For the moment, we are discussing that. For the moment, it's like that. In this institution, they say, you are a great guy. You can do what you do now. And the other institution, also harm reduction, you're not a great guy. You should change. he goes out in the street, and the police says, we take you in. You see? You have to have a coherent system. The only possibility that society learns that a collective is learning is if there is suffering. And now it's very important, this suffering has to be in the public space. If it's not in the public, women who are drinking at home and they don't tell nobody they are somewhere, nobody cares about. Users that are using their drugs somewhere quietly, nobody cares about. But if the topic comes into the public space, there is, we call it, the sociologues call it, a moral challenge for society. You have to build up moral challenges for society. You have to build up the hot spots, the hot topics. You have to build up that. If not, nothing happens. No money comes. It's like that. Political don't talk about what's not important. And I come from Switzerland. I say in harm reduction, in the drug field, societal moral challenges in harm and the drug-laden hotspots are more. Some of these lists, there are more, but the main ones are, you see, a big one is abstinence oriented, acceptance oriented. This is a moral question, an attitude question. And we said this conflict we resolve. We say development orientated. Everybody understands. That's right. We have to go to where the people are, but then we do something. What he can do or he can't do. This is, I think, we solved. Survival help. This, I say, it's able to be connected to the system. The system is society and this and context. But social responsibilities, if you say to the normal people in Switzerland, so you have to take also social responsibility for these users. They say, why should I take social responsibility for these guys? That is an individual question they can do by. This Robbie, what I said, he said, a lot of people don't. They like tea and that's it. Integration is accepted. Work in Switzerland is very accepted. But if you say there are high costs, people say, no, we don't pay. You know? So you have to see how to handle this conflict. Treatment is accepted. Moderate consume is not accepted. If you start to talk about moderate consume, people say, why should it be possible that we go into moderate consume? Competence of consume is already something between. It's interesting. Then relief of public zones, it's very powerful, very accepted within the system of Switzerland. If you say we relieve the public. But on the other hand, assimilated society, that means, Neil Hunt, I had an example when I mentioned, and I will tell you what that means. That society has to assimilate to some issues. When we started with this drug and consumption room, we were near the Cathedral of Berne. And the Cathedral of Berne had a very, very nice park with big trees. Everybody goes there. People go with their children. It's really nice. And in autumn, the leaves fall down. And a lot of leaves. And the people from the city come and make this big leaf piles. And before them, they take away. Sometimes they stay maybe 4 hours, maybe 2 days. And our people were very near. And we give a lot of syringes out. And they went and they threw the syringes away. And within this park, within these leaf piles, there were syringes. A mother goes, and his child was 3 years old, plays with this, and hit with a syringe. It was in a newspaper, a big thing, and it already was a lot of discussion. Why don't you change needles from the government? We said, no, we have to get that the risk group can use the needles and not give restriction. So, my people, you know what they said when I discussed this issue in my team, in the drug consumption room? Assimilated society, they said to me, Jakob, you have to convince the political people, this mother, we have to convince that they educate the child that they don't play with these leaves. This was the discussion in our team. I said, you're crazy. It's impossible. We have to educate the people that they don't throw the syringe, and we have to change. And they said to me, change syringes. They said, 3 minutes. They said to me, okay, you are a military guy, you can leave our institution, my people said. So I said, we asked the users, and the users said, change syringes. Robbie, you remember? Another thing is, what's accepted now, and it could be introduced, is illness decriminalization regulation. Not accepted is legalized. Okay, you have to find these hot topics. You have how to change. How to change. If you want to change something, you have to build up with a community, with people. You have to build up shared attitudes, objectives for how to intervene, and you have to know how to have a strategy. This is what I told you now all. This is the field of forces within a community of society. For example, the city of Berne, or the city of Liverpool, or Merseyside. And you have the core power inside. The core power, that's the mainstream. The mainstream says, we don't want needles around in the parks, okay? If you want to have a safe injection room, then you have to, you go out in the hot spots. The safe injection room, you see, addiction is a hot spot. Homosexuality, so prostitution, they're all hot spots. You have to see that you find people going more in the mainstream, that you have people in here that you can say, okay, they are with me or with us if we open this drug. If we do that it is not closed tomorrow. You have to build up. And there are windows of opportunities or they are closed. You have to see where you are. We in Switzerland almost missed the law change. We almost missed it. I could tell maybe half an hour more about that. And so I say, 3 minutes more. You have to have in the field of harm reduction. You have 3 minutes more for me? Yes. Oh, good. So I go again. You have to have skills. If you are working there, we have to have skills. And these skills in the field of harm reduction are, we have to have personalities. They're very engaged. And we have to have emotional skills because it's difficult to work there. I tell you, it's difficult to work 25 years and not to get sick. Yeah, and not to get depressive. It's very difficult. And you have to have intellectual, analytical skills. And you have to have people who, that you can educate to be good in social skills. That means if they are within social relations, they are friendly, they can seduce the people. I say seduce. It's a lot of kind of libido in there. I think this is what I talked to my assistant. She is a woman. She said, shall I put seduce? I say, yes, you have to put seduce. But this is, I said, yes, it's erotic, but it's important in this field. And you see, we have to build up together. strategies. We have to be change agents. And that needs to know our own values, to be capable of reflection, to analyze field of forces, to be agile, courageous, to be friendly, to have long-lasting breaths. Long, you see for that, this is the marathon in the Swiss Alps. And I tell you, Contact Netz, University of Berne with Robbie Hammick, Switzerland, we are still in the game. You have to put something within this force field that can't be thrown up. You understand? That is connected. If you put something in the system that is difficult to swallow, you say swallow? Yeah. Huh? Then it's good, because then it's discussed. And it will be accepted slowly, slowly, slowly. And we are still in the game. We are still running. You have to run if you don't want to be stopped. This I'm sure. And I say we are in the Swiss Champions League of harm reduction. And now Basel lost against Manchester United. Oh no, 2-2. 3-3, last minute. Is that right? Up there, huh? 3-3. So maybe we are equal. In football you are better, but in harm reduction, I don't know. So, yes, this was it. Thank you.